My next guest and I have a mutual passion for persecuted brothers and sisters in Christ around the world. Our good friend at 100 Huntley Street, Johnnie Moore, like me, has been inspired by the amazing eyewitness stories of hope and courage from the persecuted church in his new book, The Martyrs Oath, Living for the Jesus They're Willing to Die For. Johnnie, great to have you back on the program. You're at Heathrow Airport in London. Good to be on the program again. Thank you for coming.
No, I'm so happy to be back. You have to forgive me for how I look. I'm in transit right now to the Middle East, and I'm going to see actually some of the people that are in the book, that I have just written called The Martyrs Oath.
Now, you got the name because of an experience you had in India. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I was in college, and so like all college students, I was looking forward to my own, graduation from college. And I took a trip overseas. It was my first big international trip. I was 18 or 19 years old, and I went to a Bible school graduation in India. There were 2,000 graduates at this Bible school, and I was expecting a graduation. I was expecting friends and families and diplomas and ceremony and everything else. But there was an additional part of this graduation service, and that was this somber moment where all 2,000 graduates, they had to stand up and they had to take a martyr's oath. Before they gave them their diploma, they had to actually stand up and say that they were willing to die for their faith. And it's not that they were coaxing them to die. It's just that the probability of them facing persecution was inevitable. And some of them would die in that place. And so the leader of the Bible school didn't want them to go into the world unprepared. And it wasn't hypothetical either, Greg. I mean, on that same property, there was a church. And to the right of the stage was a placard on the wall, and it listed the names of the martyrs from previous classes. And so it was from that experience, all those years ago, that I was inspired to entitle this new book, a book of stories of the persecuted church. I called it The Martyrs Oath.
Now, I mean, we only have just a couple of minutes, but you share many stories. And what I like in the book is that you've given the Bible verses, the theology, but sharing the personal stories. And we were talking just before we came on, Nigeria, it's just a horrible place for Christians.
No, it's crazy, but more Christians died in Nigeria last year than in Syria at the hands of ISIS. This is the reality of so many. There's 3 states in Nigeria where 70% of the churches are gone in the last few years. The Bring Back Our Girls, hundreds of girls that were kidnapped by Boko Haram. Everybody knew that story, but not everybody realized they were Christians. I mean, we think about Iraq and Syria, and we should. We've lost 80% of Christians in Iraq and 50% in Syria. But we don't think very much about Nigeria or Eritrea or even Turkey. Turkey, a country that, now has lost 99% of its Christians in a generation and a half. The Hagia Sophia, the greatest church in Christian history for 1,000 years. It's been a museum since the fall of the Ottoman Empire. And it's still a museum, except for in 2016, the Directorate of Religious Affairs in Turkey appointed an imam to the Hagia Sophia. And so I surveyed the world looking for not only the latest bits of information, but the firsthand accounts of the experiences of these people. And then I tried to, as I wrote, I got in the background. I didn't rewrite their stories. The book just includes their actual words, exactly what they said to us. You'll find your heart broken, and you'll find your faith inspired.
Yeah, that's what I found too as well, Johnnie. Well, thank you very much for the work you're doing. You're talking about places like Eritrea, Iran, Iraq, Syria, as you mentioned, all over the world where Christians are suffering, North Korea. So keep up the good work, and please be safe as you head into the Middle East, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Johnnie.